This is Sunrise Extra, streaming live on Wave Now.
Good Friday morning, 7 o'clock, and it's August 8th. Apparently, it's a day of abundance. 808. 808.
Okay. I don't know, but
I
hey,
just saw it on social media.
I'll take the abundance. I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
I'll take the benefits.
I mean, it kind of makes sense because the 8 sideways is an infinity symbol, so that probably has.
You're thinking there.
Yeah, listen, brain works sometimes.
Sometimes. Also going to have an abundance of carbs today. I started off the day with cookies, so I'm doing great.
I know.
For those of you heading out this morning, we're still seeing some of that fog. It's a lot more elevated here at 65 near Lebanon Junction, but if you're traveling near any of our rivers, the Salt River, the Green River, the Kentucky River, you are going to run into a little bit of that fog this morning. But thankfully, now that sun is up, we have about another 2 hours to deal with it, and then we're done for the rest of the day. So many locations dealing with some of this fog anywhere from Nelson County up into parts of Clark County. For those of you near Jasper, visibility has been down to nearly half a mile in some cases there, so just watch out for that. But other than that, I'm going to just step out of the way because this is too pretty for me to just interrupt this shot. It's a gorgeous sunrise on our SkyTrack camera in Jeffersonville as we look towards the east for those upper level clouds overhead. Yeah, a beautiful Friday morning. But with all that sunshine, we are going to heat up. While we are seeing mainly clear skies to start off the day, going to keep a few clouds overhead as we head into this afternoon, and your temperatures will warm from the 60s where most of us are right now, back to near 90 degrees later on today. So extra swipe of deodorant, bottle of water, and you'll be just fine. Olivia, Shannon.
Yeah. Great advice there. Thanks to Juana.
That sunrise was gorgeous.
It was.
Wow.
Well, another first.
Oh, they're showing our gym shoes.
Oh, yeah. Now you know we're not wearing heels this whole time. Well, another first day in the books for JCPS, and leaders say this first day of school was an overall success, even including the buses.
That's right. Pretty incredible. So a whole lot better than that transportation disaster from 2 years ago. Wave News reporter Rob Wells in the studio this morning with more about the district's start to this year.
Shannon and Olivia, the first day of school, it was pretty much a strong start, according to administrators, but there were just a few setbacks. That's when it came to busing. We've learned that a bus drop wrapped up around 6:30 last night, a lot earlier than just a year ago. Officials telling us that some pickup and drop-off lines for car riders were long, but there were no major problems reported. Parents saying that the process, it seemed pretty smooth, but others hoping that today will be even better. Some of those issues included some kids left at bus stops or being dropped off at the wrong place. One mother, Tatiana, who did not want to disclose her last name to us, said that her daughter's drop-off Thursday morning, it went pretty well, but she was dropped off at another school in the afternoon instead of her designated bus stop.
She didn't have any of her bus tags. She didn't have anything she was supposed to have. And the bus driver, when he found out she was still there, he just dropped her off at the nearest school. He didn't go in and inform the school that she was, dropped off, that she was on the wrong bus or anything.
A JCPS spokesperson saying it's policy for bus drivers to drop the child off at its nearest school once a mistake is discovered, and staff at that school will get the student home safely. Meanwhile, JCPS staff said still counting Thursday as a major win and will continue to work out the setbacks as the school year progresses. JCPS staff said that their goal is to have all kids dropped off at home by 6 p.m. every day, and they think they can achieve that pretty soon. Rob Wells, Wave News.
Rob, wish we could see your shoes. You actually have some stylish shoes on this morning. Well, our crews got to meet up with Superintendent Dr. Brian Yearwood while he was at Jeffersontown Elementary School yesterday. He also talked with students, teachers, and staff as they start the new school year. He said each school he stopped by was filled with smiling faces.
And what my dream and hope is, just as we started with this high energy, we end with this high energy, because I think our students need it, deserve it.
Okay. Dr. Yearwood says every student he asked told him they're excited for the school year. But some scary moments after a person fired a gun near a school bus stop with kids nearby. LMPD says it happened around 8 o'clock yesterday morning near West Chestnut Street. No one was hurt in that. LMPD doesn't know who this man on your screen is, and they are still looking for him. Right now, officers don't believe a child was the intended target.
And more kids will be going back to school today. Assumption, Mercy, Presentation, St. X all have their first day today. Holy Cross kids return on Monday. The Archdiocese of Louisville Elementary Schools all return on Tuesday.
If you've had trouble getting a Real ID appointment in the Louisville area, there's a new temporary driver's licensing regional office now open to help people get what they need. You can find the temporary office in the historic L&M building on West West Broadway. The office is on the 11th floor, and it's open Monday through Friday from 8 a.m. until 4 p.m. The new location won't be able to do actual driver's testing, just renewals and real IDs. We've told you before about the rush of people who tried to get that real ID before the deadline back in May. Some lawmakers reported issues at offices across the state, claiming long lines and frustration. Appointments are encouraged, and walk-ins may have to wait a bit, but you can make those appointments for this location or any regional office at drive.ky.gov.
Well, we told you this week about the news from U of L and their decision to not open the birthing place at Mary and Elizabeth Hospital. They cited Medicaid cuts as a huge factor in that decision, and now we're learning more about what is impacting the hospital. U of L Health has decided to shut the project down, citing Medicaid cuts expected to hit by 2028. Of births in Kentucky, 44% are financed through Medicaid. While funding is a big factor, a U of L Health spokesperson says they face a persistent challenge with a nationwide obstetrician shortage, a medical liability environment in Kentucky making recruitment difficult, and birth rates trending down. Now, a lot of people who saw the need for the addition in South Louisville wonder what happens next.
They're already worried about their families, their existing children, and the baby that they're growing, and they thought that they had a safe, beautiful place in their own community to give birth. All of a sudden they don't, and they have another worry on their plate.
In an updated statement from U of L, the hospital says they'll still use the space where the birthing center was supposed to go to expand access for women's health. They say that includes new gynecological and breast services to help fill the gap in a medically underserved area.
7 men in jail are charged for their roles in what police are calling high-value copper wire thefts that damage critical infrastructure across Louisville. A local scrapyard called police when they found out a group was selling burnt wire they believe belonged to service providers. Detectives later confirmed the material is part of Louisville's essential communications network. Officers recovered stolen materials and arrested the 7 men on your screen. Investigators believe 3 of the men stole wire from a Trimark traffic sign. The group may also be linked to more crimes that targeted the traffic system.
Traffic alert for you. More road work is coming to Hospital Curve this weekend. Starting tonight, the left and center lanes of I-65 North will be closed, along with the left lane of I-65 South. Crews will replace those bridge joints along the overpass. The lanes close at 8 o'clock tonight. They will reopen Monday morning at 5. So expect some delays if you're using I-65 this weekend, or maybe just take a different route. The Kentucky Transportation Cabinet says crews are almost done with all the work needed to repair Hospital Curve. Coming up, St. Joe's annual picnic for the kids is today.
We have all the details about the summer tradition that's lasted 176 years.
Joe's Picnic. You can enjoy food, games, raffles, fun, live music, the all-important cake wheel.
And the St. Joe's Picnic is such a staple. It's drawing in more than 50,000 people each year. Such a big tradition here in Louisville. And Wave News reporter Marissa Burke joining us live with the details. Good morning, Marissa.
Good morning, Shanna and Olivia. This event, exactly like you said, brings in so much money because of all the people that come out, because all those funds go to such a great cause. And we're talking about those kids. I'm here with Leanne Alsop. So, Leanne, tell us, how much money do you guys hope to raise this year?
The goal is to raise $1 million. We've done it for the past 3 years, so we're looking forward to another successful year this year.
Absolutely. And where does all that money go? How does it help out the kids?
It goes directly to funding the programs that our kids have here. So we have 48 kids that live here on our campus. They get intensive therapy while they're here. They eat, sleep, go to school here. And then we also have our foster care services for those foster families. And then our behavioral health services, so therapy for anybody in the community.
Oh, wow. I don't think a lot of people probably realize that.
Yeah, it's brand new. So we're excited to get the word about that. You fill out a form online and come see us.
So if people want to learn more about that program and all the different things that you guys have going on this weekend, what are the details about this weekend? Let's start there.
Yes, free. It's free. So come out and see us. We'll have free parking here. We'll also have a shuttle tomorrow across the street at the seminary, so folks can catch a ride over here. We have a great raffle. We have cake booth, bingo, music, food trucks, all the great things to have a good time.
And that starts at 5 tonight.
Yes.
And goes until what time?
10 o'clock.
Okay, but then Sunday or Saturday is the real party.
It is. It starts at noon and we go till midnight.
Okay, and so guys, I was told you want to go by the Brownsboro side?
Yes, that's the entrance to come in with a car.
So that's what you need to know. Free. All the action starts tonight at 5 and then tomorrow at noon. Back to you.
Thanks, Marissa. Yeah, I used to love the St. Joe's Picnic, especially when you're in high school. You have to make sure you have the perfect dress for that, because it was it always, lined up with the first day of school, and that was like the start
big
to your
party.
next year.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. And they have fun later on in the evening hours,
do.
especially.
This is what I was informed about just now, so
Yes.
that's good to know.
Yeah.
For those of you heading out maybe there, hydrate with water. I'm just going to say it. And we'll talk about more of that heat and humidity on the way. So still continuing to check out this gorgeous sunrise on the Jeffersonville camera. You have the upper level clouds overhead, and it's just making for a beautiful start to the day. Now, all that sunshine definitely going to lead to a lot of that heat later on today. And those upper level clouds that we saw on that camera showing up as well on the satellite and radar to start off the day, with some of the patchy fog that we're seeing across the area stretching from parts of Hardin County all the way up towards portions of Jackson County in Indiana. So as you're heading out, just keep that in mind. A lot of this is elevated though, including what we're seeing at 65 near Lebanon Junction. You've been watching that fog developing throughout the morning. It's going to take some time for some of you until maybe around 9 o'clock to get rid of it completely. But with that sun gradually going up and, of course, the temperatures rising later on this morning, both of those things will help with mixing out that fog. Your temperatures are in the 60s and low 70s right now. We'll end up in the upper 80s and low 90s for later on this afternoon with a little bit of that humidity across the area. And once we get into this evening for the St. Joe's Picnic, we'll be falling through the 80s for that. So it's going to be a beautiful night. For tonight, we'll drop right back down into the 60s and low 70s, a little bit muggy out there, keeping things on the warm side. For tomorrow, plenty of sunshine across the region. We'll return to the upper 80s and the low 90s for your highs. And you know where I'll be. This is where I'll be at Lynn Family Stadium, cheering on Lou City as they take on the Charleston Battery. Temperatures will be falling throughout the 80s for that matchup, and get there early so you can make sure that you have your spot ready to go, because it's going to be an awesome night for sure. A very loud one too. On Sunday, more of those upper 80s and low 90s for your highs. Watching a front moving our way towards next Tuesday and Wednesday. This is going to bring some more of those scattered showers and thunderstorms back into our forecast, but the front does not make its way all the way through our region. We're going to watch for a couple of these isolated thunderstorms trying to linger into the second half of your Thursday. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, not looking like a washout by any regard, but we will be watching the radar closely. And since that front will remain off towards our north, once we start to dry out for the end of next week, it's more about that heat building back across the area. So while we see a slight drop in your temperatures, it does not last very long. We'll be back into the low 90s for highs by next Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So keep that in mind as you're planning for both this weekend and next weekend.
Thank you. Okay, the boys in purple going head-to-head with Charleston tomorrow night.
How fans can help Lou City keep their winning streak alive, we'll tell you that coming up in 2 minutes. Vice President J.D. Vance could be pushing Indiana lawmakers to redraw congressional maps. He met with the state's top Republicans, including Governor Mike Braun in Indianapolis yesterday.
And one of the big topics, redistricting. They discussed a potential effort to redraw Indiana's congressional districts to flip District 1. That's currently held by Democrat Frank Mervyn. The governor would have to call a special session for the redistricting. That has not happened yet. Now, the vice president did not speak with reporters when he left the meeting. Governor Braun posted on social media, though, saying in part this: "It was great to meet with VP Vance. We discussed a number of issues, and I was pleased to highlight some of the great things happening in Indiana." As the vice president was meeting with Governor Braun and other top Republicans behind closed doors, Democratic Indiana lawmakers staged a sit-in at the State House. They oppose any plan to redraw the state's congressional district. They claim President Trump and Vice President Vance are scared of losing votes because of their spending bill, which cut funding to Medicaid. Democrat Frank Mervyn, who represents that district GOP leaders are looking to flip, hosted the sit-in and spoke about what he believes would happen if it becomes a reality.
There is factual information that rural hospitals are going to be cut and there's going to be less access to health care because of the Vance-Trump administration and they're passing their bills. So they are afraid. They are afraid to face the voters, so now they want to redistrict to do that. Make it perfectly clear.
Those who were there say the state just had a special session to redraw Indiana's congressional maps. It happened in 2021 after the last census. President Trump's new tariffs on more than 90 countries around the world are now in effect, and the overall average effective tariff rate is more than 17%. That's the highest since 1935 during the Great Depression. A lot of products will be hit: food, furniture, toys from China, and TVs from South Korea. Now, with these new tariffs in effect, economists predict that will lead to higher prices for U.S. consumers.
Senator Mitch McConnell, an opponent of tariffs, spoke at the Penn Dennis Club in Louisville about the trade policy. Senator McConnell says he's concerned about how the tariffs might affect relations with military allies.
Now, my personal view on the tariff thing is it doesn't really help to get involved in a bunch of disputes with all of our allies who enthusiastically on our side.
Senator McConnell also revealed almost 6 months ago that he is not seeking re-election in 2026. His term in office ends January 2027.
Apple says Kentucky is in its plans for future growth, and all iPhone and Apple Watch glass will soon be made in central Kentucky at the Corning plant in Harrodsburg.
Our community is certainly on cloud nine this morning. This comes as a little bit of a surprise in terms of the magnitude of what this is going to do for our economy, but we are not surprised that Corning is taking center stage in American manufacturing.
Corning already made some of the glass Apple uses in its iPhones. Now all of the company's glass will be manufactured in Kentucky. Governor Beshear says it's a great get for the state.
Apple's substantial commitment is a major win for Mercer County and for the Commonwealth. I want to personally congratulate everybody in Harrodsburg, in Mercer County, and the surrounding region who will benefit from the continued growth of this long-standing Kentucky company.
There are still many unknowns, such as exactly how many jobs will be added to Corning, what those jobs will pay, and what kind of experience or education will be required. Leaders say it's too early in the process to have all those answers.
Congressman Brett Guthrie says Apple's investment could help attract other parts of the tech industry to the state. Guthrie says he'd like to see data center projects being built. There's been pushback, though, against recent data center projects in the Louisville area. One well-publicized idea for Oldham County was eventually scrapped. Critics brought up concerns over transparency for the deal, plus property tax and environmental changes. Congressman Guthrie is the chairman of the House Committee on Energy and Commerce and says data centers will be needed to keep up with technology advancements.
And the big thing that my committee focuses on, energy and commerce. I always say it takes energy to move commerce, is to make sure that we have the energy for the big data centers and AI. I know Apple plays in AI, Google, all the big ones. And Kentucky's well positioned for that. We're an energy state. We're an energy exporting state. And it takes...
You can find Congressman Guthrie's full interview on wave3.com. Well, Lou City looking to keep their winning streak going, but they need fans to show up for their next game.
Yeah, tomorrow is their annual Fill the Fam night. The boys in purple hold first place in the league right now. It could be challenged, though, in that game against the Charleston Battery. They have a close second. Last year, Lou City defeated the Battery on Fill the Fam night in front of more than 13,000 fans. They want more fans this year. That match happens tomorrow night at 8 o'clock. You can still get tickets on the club's website. Very exciting.
Always fun to play in front of a packed crowd there, too. It's fun to be part of that.
Right, absolutely. Okay, we're going to take a quick break. Right back with more local news and weather.
This Wave News update is sponsored by Oxmoor Auto Group.
Good morning, I'm Shannon Kogan. Right now, LMPD is looking for a man who they say fired a gun near a school bus stop with children nearby. These are some pictures they've released. Police are looking for him. It happened yesterday morning around 8 near West Chestnut Street. Fortunately, no one was hurt, and officers say they don't think a child was the intended target. But if you recognize that person, contact LMPD. Here is Tawana as we're looking at a beautiful sunrise.
Oh yeah, it's absolutely gorgeous. We have the upper level clouds overhead. We have that sun beaming down, reflecting off of the Ohio River. A picturesque start to the day, that is for sure. But we're also watching a little bit of that patchy fog. It has been lowering visibility, especially now that that sun is over the horizon. The light is reflecting off of the water droplets in that fog and helping to reduce visibility in many spots. We have been seeing that reduction in visibility on 65 near Lebanon Junction. Just one of those spots in our river valleys dealing with it this morning. But thankfully, this is not an all-day issue as we approach 9 a.m. A lot of that will mix out. Still in the 60s and low 70s this morning. We'll end up near 90 degrees for later on this afternoon with a little bit of that humidity across the region. And once we head into tonight, mostly clear, muggy, warm, returning to the 60s and low 70s for lows. Keeping an eye on your roads this morning. We do have a number of stalled vehicles. But what is listed as a crash on this particular map, according to TriMark, is actually a pedestrian on 64 eastbound near Grinstead Drive. So if you're traveling in that area, just an extra heads up, keep an eye out for that person who may be just trying to get some gas or something and walking along the side of the roads. Outside of that, hey, things are looking good for your morning commute. Going to be keeping an eye on that heat continuing to stick around once we head into the weekend.
Good morning and happy Friday to you. Thanks so much for waking up with us here on Sunrise Extra. I hope all those kids had a great first day yesterday. A lot of people have their first day of school today, including my girls who play softball at Sacred Heart Academy. So excited for everyone to start off the new school year. But as we mentioned, JCPS went back yesterday, and JCPS leadership says transportation went smoothly yesterday. They say some pickup and drop-off lines for car riders were a bit long, but overall there were no major problems. As the day wrapped up, the district shared that all students were dropped off by 6:30 yesterday, and that's even earlier than last year. Wave News reporter Julia Richardson talked to parents to get their insight on those drop-offs and pickups.
what we saw today was really normal first day issues.
Some of those issues, kids being left at bus stops or dropped off at the wrong place. One mother, Tatiana, said her daughter's drop-off Thursday morning went well, but she was dropped off at another school in the afternoon instead of at her bus stop.
She wasn't placed on the right school bus. She didn't have any of her bus tags. She didn't have anything she was supposed to have. And the bus driver, when he found out she was still there, he just dropped her off at the nearest school. He didn't go in and inform the school that she was, dropped off, that she was on the wrong bus or anything.
JCPS says it is the policy for bus drivers to drop the child off at its nearest school once a mistake is discovered, and that staff at this school will work to get the student home safely. Another issue, long car rider lines, which JCPS leadership says have been a problem in previous years.
We spent a lot of time and effort over this past year working on car rider lines and traffic lines, going school by school and improving what we could.
For some schools like Highland Middle School, pickup lines stretched multiple blocks.
We've been here for about a good hour now.
They did say that they have a lot of car riders this year, and I think that has to do with the buses, with there not being no buses, because I know, there's not a bus option for my daughter where we live at.
At other schools like Cochran Elementary, parents said they've seen improvements in drop-off and pickup times compared to last year.
I was in and out both times. It actually took them longer the beginning of last year, so I guess they've been practicing during the summer.
Parents can call 485-RIDE weekdays from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. with transportation-related questions. JCPS says Thursday, the hotline received 1,700 calls. Although parents had some complaints, JCPS staff are counting today as a win and say they will continue to work out the kinks as the school year progresses.
We've learned from our past experiences, and guess what? Looking forward to tomorrow and the next day.
So already off to a solid start there, but JCPS staff say they want to have all the kids dropped off at home before 6 p.m. A very good goal there, and they say they think they can achieve that by the end of next week. A new government report is raising concerns about the typical American diet. Ultra-processed foods still make up more than half of the calories consumed by children and adults, even though the numbers have improved in recent years. That's from the U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention study published last week. Ultra-processed foods are usually high in calories, added sugar, sodium, and saturated fat, and low in fiber. They've also been linked to obesity and other conditions like cancer and diabetes. Experts say calories from ultra-processed foods add up quickly because they taste good and they're dense with a large amount of calories in a small amount of food. They recommend that you try to add in more whole foods whenever you can. Well, we know it is back to school week here in Wave Country, and that's an exciting time for students, but for some, back to school means back to those boring breakfasts and boring lunches. And if your child gets sick of the same cereal in the morning plus that turkey sandwich in the afternoon, they are not alone. That routine can get pretty old. In this Health Minute, Mandy Gaither has some healthy and easy meal ideas that can spice up any school day.
In the classroom, you want your child to do their best, so set them up for success before they even head to school.
We want our kids to be able to focus, and to be able to focus, we want to make sure that their bellies have something in them.
Catherine Sherry with Children's Healthcare of Atlanta's Strong for Life program says healthy meals should have protein, healthy fats, fiber, and some carbohydrates. For breakfast, Sherry says to make whole wheat toast more exciting by adding nut or seed butter and some sliced fruit like bananas and strawberries. You can also make a breakfast burrito, add some egg and veggies, maybe some avocado and a side of salsa. Or make egg muffins, fill them with veggies, maybe a little meat, pair with some fruit and a slice of whole wheat toast.
You can make multiples of these ahead of time. We can put them in a freezer bag, and then we just grab one out each morning, pop it in the microwave.
You can spice up lunch boxes too. Sherry says making your own Lunchable can make it more nutritious. Roll up some low-sodium lunch meat and cheese, add whole wheat crackers and some nut butter, plus a veggie and some sliced fruit. Or send them to school with some leftover pasta. Pair it with some sliced veggies and hummus to dip, along with the fruit. Chicken salad is also a healthy lunch alternative. Pair with sliced apple and some veggies and whole wheat crackers. Finally, have them wash these meals down with water.
Leave those sugary beverages at home. Let's just go ahead and do water for hydration.
For Health Minute, I'm Mandy Gaither.
Great tips there. Well, backpacks can also impact health as many families begin the new school year. As an overloaded or even poorly packed backpack can lead to back, neck, and shoulder pain. Doctors have a few tips for kids, though. First is the fit. Make sure the backpack isn't too large or too small. Next, keep it light. Your child's backpack should weigh less than 15% of their body weight. And lastly, pack smart. Put those heavy items close to your body and even throughout the weight of the backpack. So make sure those backpacks aren't too weighted down. Many high school football teams hitting the field for two-a-day practices. They've been doing that in the summer heat, and the risk for dehydration is very serious. That's why Dr. Marie Schaefer with Cleveland Clinic says it is so important to make sure athletes, no matter the sport, are staying hydrated.
Hydration is a big part of your performance. You need to be well hydrated in order to perform your best. And it helps to keep all your other body systems in check and make sure that anytime when you're working out, all of the muscle breakdown can get properly flushed throughout your body, make sure your brain is properly functioning, keeps you at a good, healthy heart rate to really maximize your performance.
She says some of the symptoms of dehydration can include extreme thirst, dry mouth, headache, fatigue, even loss of appetite. In more severe cases, it can lead to heat-related illnesses like heat stroke, kidney issues, shock, coma, even death. To help avoid dehydration during practice, she says athletes should be drinking 4 to 6 ounces of water every 15 to 20 minutes. They can also use that time to assess how they're feeling. She adds that you don't want to chug a bunch of water all at once because it could upset your stomach and cause people to vomit. But another question, what about those sports drinks?
If you are practicing more than an hour at a time, that's where electrolyte replenishing through sports drinks can be really beneficial. Because as you think about it, when you are practicing, you're not exercising, you're not only losing water, but you're also losing electrolytes through sweat. And after an hour or so, it's very important to start replenishing those. So sports drinks are a really good source of electrolytes. Sometimes if that's not available, utilizing water and some type of salty snack can be really helpful as well.
She also recommends skipping the caffeine and energy drinks before practice because that can speed up dehydration. Trust me, you do not want to mix the two. But speaking of football, the start of college football season only a week away, and U of L coaches focused on improving the defense during the fall camp. Communication issues plagued that side of the ball last year. Defensive co-defensive coordinator, if I can say his title correctly, want to give him credit, Ron English, says there's a whole new attitude amongst the defensive unit. He said he likes what he's seen so far this summer.
Well, I just like them as people, and I think in life, in any field, when you have a group of people in an organization that care about each other and are unselfish, you got a chance. Because they're playing together as a unit.
And to update that countdown, because I know people are so excited for it, we are now 22 days away from the Cards' first home game. They'll host Eastern Kentucky on Saturday, August 30th at 3 p.m. Can't wait for that. Well, turning now to the pros, the Cincinnati Bengals took on the Philadelphia Eagles for their first game of the NFL preseason. Bengals quarterback Joe Burrow threw for 123 yards and 2 touchdowns, including one to Jamar Chase. St. X grad Desmond Ridder even got in the game for Cincinnati. He threw a touchdown pass to Tanner Hudson, but it wasn't enough for the Bengals. The Eagles won at 34-27. Ridder finished with 91 yards and the touchdown. So the Bengals are back in action on the 18th at Washington. The regular season kicks off for the league on September 7th, where the Bengals will take on the Cleveland Browns. Well, more impressive athletes here. This one, a 78-year-old Louisville man received nationwide honors this week after he recently competed in a senior sporting event. Humana hosted the 2025 National Senior Games in Des Moines, Iowa. James Hutchinson competed in the 200-meter and 400-meter dash. He was named a Humana Game Changer after qualifying for the finals in the 200-meter. That's a national recognition for an athlete who excels and provides motivation to their peers. We caught up with him at the Norton Sports and Learning Complex. He tells us he comes from a long line of runners.
My grandfather set the U.S. high school record for the mile in 1914. the gene pool diluted a little bit with my father, but he was still a very good 440-yard runner, which is now, of course, the 400 meters.
Hutchinson started running when he was 12 years old, competing in track and cross country throughout high school and college. He pursued a successful career as an entrepreneur in construction, and throughout it all, he has continued to run. So very impressive there, and to do that all at 78 years old. Very impressive for him. We're going to take a quick 2-minute break, and we will be right back. Well, we told you this week about the decision to not open the birthing place at Mary and Elizabeth Hospital there with U of L Health. They cited Medicaid cuts as one of the big reasons behind that decision, and now we're learning more about what's impacting the hospital. Wave News reporter Alina Noakes has more.
It's been more than 50 years since a baby was born in the south end of Louisville, and that was all set to change in just a few short weeks when the birthing place at Mary and Elizabeth Hospital was set to open, except they decided to not open their doors, and a lot of community leaders are wondering what happens next.
I was kind of under the impression we gave you the money, you built it, we open it, and let's birth some babies.
That's not reality, though. Instead, U of L Health has decided to shut the project down, citing Medicaid cuts expected to hit by 2028. Of births in Kentucky, 44% are financed through Medicaid.
This is not a red or blue issue. This is a Kentucky issue.
Sherilyn Stevenson, who's running for a seat in Congress, hosted a news conference condemning the cuts, alongside some city leaders and a nurse who was supposed to have a job in the new unit.
I have been waiting my entire career for a unit on this side of the Ohio for patients to deliver their babies in an environment that felt like home, that was close to home, that had all the capabilities and safety of a hospital as well.
Though the financial outlook is a primary driver behind the decision, a U of L Health spokesperson tells us they face a persistent challenge with a nationwide obstetrician shortage, a medical liability environment in Kentucky making recruitment difficult, and birth rates trending down. Put simply, plans to add labor and delivery services became unviable. Still, the concern about access to what South End moms need isn't going away.
They're already worried about their families, their existing children, and the baby that they're growing, and they thought that they had a safe, beautiful place in their own community to give birth. All of a sudden they don't, and they have another worry on their plate.
In a statement from U of L Health, they say that space that was supposed to be the birthing center will still be used for women's health. It'll instead be for new gynecological and breast services. In a statement, they said in part, quote, "We are confident the expanded women's services will fill an important gap in a medically underserved area." Well, a special celebration in Fern Creek as the community center celebrated 70 years in service. It cost $30,000 to build the center on Bardstown Road back in the 1950s. A part of it served the community, while another portion served as the Fern Creek Fire Department. It's also served as a library starting in 1957. A brand new library is currently under construction there. Fern Creek leaders say they're excited to see what the future holds for this building.
So this building has been the heart and the hub of Fern Creek community for 7 decades. We're here today to rededicate this building to serve the next generation of our community.
The Fern Creek Community Center just underwent a more than $400,000 renovation. And we are less than a week away from this year's Kentucky State Fair. The fair runs from August 14th through the 24th at the Kentucky Expo Center. You can find details on events and tickets on the fair's website. And you can meet some of us from Wave News. Wave News Day at the fair will be on the 19th. That is the Tuesday at the State Fair. So many things to look forward to there. Plus, next week on Sunrise Extra, I'll be sitting down with someone from the State Fair, and they'll be talking about everything you can expect to see there this year, because we know it can get pretty crazy there at the Kentucky State Fair. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back. Well, as we know, we celebrate the Kentucky Derby here in Wave Country, but let's talk about Chicago because they had a pretty interesting twist on things. They do their Derby a little differently. More than 82,000 rubber ducks took the plunge into the Chicago River this week for the 20th annual Chicago Ducky Derby, and it was all for a great cause. The annual event kicked off on Thursday morning with crowds gathering along North Michigan Avenue as they waited to see which duck would take the top prize and move through the river the fastest. The event raised nearly $600,000 for Special Olympics Illinois. Donors adopted ducks for $10 with a chance to win big prizes, including a new SUV. Not only did the event go off without a hitch, but it was also done responsibly. No ducks left behind. They were not harmed at all. In fact, they were all collected and they'll be saved for next year's Derby.
A local Firehouse Subs helping first responders by donating thousands of dollars for life-saving equipment. Firehouse Subs on Hurstbourne Parkway awarded several fire districts $64,000. Fire departments from Okolona, Middletown, and New Washington were at the sandwich shop yesterday. Restaurant leaders say this money will help give first responders the tools they need to keep the public safe.
So it goes towards life-saving equipment, so things like extrication tools, AEDs, nozzle replacements, things that just help those who do public safety to support the community and help people when they're in bad situations.
One firehouse helping another. That money was raised through in-store donations, and it's all through the Firehouse Subs Public Safety Foundation that was established in 2005 in order to help first responders and veterans. The Kentucky Blood Center's Summer of Savings is ending this month, and one lucky donor will get free groceries for a year. Whoever wins will receive 52 $200 gift cards to Kroger or another grocery store in the winner's community. Anyone who donates is automatically entered into the drawing. There are 2 Kentucky Blood Center locations in Louisville, one of them on the 1200 block of Shelbyville Road, and the other is on the 5400 block of Antle Drive. Perfect Day Cat Cafe celebrating a major milestone today. The Cat Cafe celebrating their 7th anniversary, and they're inviting Wave Country to weekend-long festivities. Perfect Day Cafe has helped more than 11,000 cats find homes in Kentucky, Indiana, and Ohio, and it's donated more than $100,000 to shelter partners. They'll be handing out a free sticker and cup to anyone who's ever adopted at PDC. There's a $15 fee to visit the Cat or Kitten Lounge, and online reservations are strongly recommended. But just look at those cute little kitty cats. Who doesn't want to go and just try to pet that belly until they decide to scratch you? You know how cats can get. Well, an annual favorite returns to Frankfort Avenue tonight, the St. Joe's Picnic. It's a fundraiser for the St. Joseph's Children's Home, which cares for kids who have been abused or neglected. And this year, there is a youth curfew in place, a heads up there. And a news release says that anyone 17 or younger must be within an arm's length of a supervising adult anytime after 8 p.m. this weekend. That goes until 10 o'clock tonight and then midnight on Saturday. Another change this year, they won't be serving chicken dinners. A lot of people bummed out about that, but still plenty of other great food options there. The picnic draws a crowd of about 50,000 people each year, so that means parking can kind of be a headache. Good news here, they do have overflow parking for Saturday at the Southern Baptist Theological Seminary off Grinstead Drive, and they will have a free shuttle to get there. So it is so much fun. If you've never been out there, go check it out. It is always a blast, and it all goes to a great cause. Maybe this year will be my lucky year, and I'll be able to win a cake for the cake booth there. But my mom is always the lucky one. Maybe some of that will rub off on me, or one of her 5 can come back to my apartment. Well, that's all the time we have here for Wave Sunrise Extra. Thanks so much for joining us. Hope you have a great Friday and a great weekend, too. Get out there and enjoy it.